Good afternoon, everyone. We hope you and your family is safe during these tough times. We welcome you to the webinar series, Let's Connect. And today we have an interesting topic, which is, as you all know, COVID-19 is a threat in the society today. And on top of it, if recession is being added to it, let's get to hear from our speaker, like how the retailers are going to manage this deadly combination. So I'm taking my privilege to introduce the speaker, Dr. Gibson Vedamani, who's the founder of Retail Solutions and Learning Technology LLP, Retail Salt, which hosts this website www.retailvarsity.com, which is an initiative for online executive education and e-learning in retailing. He was the founding CEO of Retailers Association of India. He is an author and a retail consultant as well. Dr. Vedamani is also the director on the board of Gem and Jewelry Skill Council of India, nominated by National Skill Development Corporation, which is again a part of the Government of India. So I just want to inform all the participants as the session moves ahead. Please feel free to put your questions at the bottom of the screen, which appears at the bottom of your screen. Keep posting your questions there, and we will be addressing all your questions at the end of the session. So without taking much of your time, I'm handing this session to Dr. Gibson Vedamani. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pradeep. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to connect with you all through this webinar to discuss the topic COVID-19 and recession. How can retailers manage this deadly combination? I know that most of you are faculty members, and this is going to be the order soon because we might have to get used to teaching through this medium. I mean, this online medium. So we are usually used to teaching students face to face. I mean, we expect, feedback. We expect to see their expressions. But this is a new mode where we look into the camera and speak and fine and assume that everybody is attentive and listening. So you as faculty members will have to get used to this this new order. And it's going to continue for quite long. You all know that, this is a tough time, and we are getting used to new ways of learning and also new ways of teaching. Let me set the agenda first. I mean, we are going to be discussing the impact of COVID-19 on the retail economy. Then we'll discuss a few lessons from both global and Indian retailers, where we will focus on strategies and what are the operational things that these companies did during COVID-19, and what are they going to do in future as well. And then we look at the preparedness part, what has been lost and what needs to be found, and how prepared retail organizations have to be. What are those things that they need to focus on as far as their preparedness is concerned? Then we'll also see a few regrowth factors. We'll just enumerate a few regrowth factors that retailers are focusing on and have some learnings from there. And then we'll do the conclusion, and then we'll do the questions and answers. And as you raise questions to Mr. Pradeep, and I'll answer those questions as well. And the heart of this discussion is going to be a few case examples I've taken from global retailers and also Indian retailers. And these case examples are about 6 in number, and plus one, the unorganized part of retail also we'll discuss, which would be the 7th one. And that's going to be the heart of our discussions. And it's going to be on a mode that, we look at our learnings and how we can take learnings from these case studies. And maybe these will be useful to share with our students in future. Well, as far as the setbacks are concerned, I mean, we have had major setbacks even pre-COVID times, because Indian consumption story is pretty big. We've got a $2.8 trillion GDP, and almost about $1.8 trillion is consumption. And that's a big spending power that India has got. And I think that's expected to grow to about a 6 trillion, according to various reports. By 2030, it's expected to grow to a $6 trillion. And that's the power of the consumption economy that India has got. And it has slowed down. I mean, various factors. I mean, pre-COVID, we know that there was degrowth in consumption and also in the economy in various sectors. FMCG is one. FMCG has got a direct impact with retail. FMCG kind of started degrowing almost by about 11%, and then automobiles also, as you are aware, there was a degrowth in trying to kind of set themselves back on the growth path as well. So we were kind of struggling. If you look at the wage growth, there was a big declining trend. 27.7% in FY14. It went down to 5% growth in FY19. So there was definitely a degrowth in wages, which also gave rise to disposable income. And consumption, as you are aware, is dependent on disposable income, and that disposable income, when not being there, consumption also has got affected. If you look at the industrial output, we went 4% below during the period 2014-19, and that also impacted income and employment generation, both in rural and urban areas. So that is the kind of setbacks that India has got, and we were actually putting ourselves on the growth path. I mean, we were doing everything to put the economy back on track, back on the growth path. And we never thought that this COVID-19 would affect us in a big way. We thought that it was happening in Wuhan, and SARS never affected us, in this geography of the world. So we thought that, it may not happen to us. So nobody even was very serious about any economic impact that kind of a disease would have on us. But unfortunately, it became big and it started affecting the various countries, and that was quite new to us. So that is what we had to look at. And if you look at the retail consumption, that is a big part in the Indian economy. We look at retail consumption itself is 40% of India's total consumption. Out of the $1.8 trillion, we have a 40%, which is about a $720 billion which is retail consumption in India. So if retail goes down, the economy definitely goes down in a big way. So this spread, as it happened, the lockdown made kind of everything get knocked down completely. That is what exactly happened, and you know about that. And it just closed, everything closed, and which gave rise to a kind of a reverse square root phenomenon. That is what they say. The growth comes like this and then goes down like this, so goes on to a reverse square root phenomenon. And everything completely closed and the consumption dropped completely. So we know about these things. So it caused a completely negative disruption in the market. So nothing was happening. So everything was a fallout. And you look at the fallout. I mean, the consumers were not coming, so cash flows were not happening. Everything came to a kind of a standstill. And what happened was people started moving to places. You know about that. The migrant workers started moving out, and people started to have questions in their mind as to what's going to happen. And the most important thing is that the back-end supply chain broke down completely. We look at farmers had their problems. Produce started decaying. The transportation system broke down. I mean, transportation was stopped overnight, and so everything was completely gone. And retailers were at a big loss because on the one hand, they were handling expiry. They were handling, they didn't do anything. I mean, entire thing was a complete breakdown, vendor breakdown. Farmers couldn't do anything. I mean, it was complete disruption. So intensity was very high. In terms of the mindsets, you look at it, I mean, not only in terms of products and people, not only in terms of products and supply chain, but if you look at the mindset of people, changed completely. There was fear and insecurity. They didn't know what was happening. There were going to be pay cuts, and they didn't know, whether they're going to retain their jobs or whether pay cuts are going to be there, and led to a lot of lack of confidence. That is what happened. The more damage happened because of the mindset changes that have happened in people. I do not know how much time it's going to take for us to kind of come back to our original mindsets. It might take a lot of time. But the point is that more than the COVID-19 itself caused problems on us, the problems were caused by the changes in mindsets that happen, which need to be addressed in a big way as far as customers are concerned. I mean, retailing is all about customers, so this mindset change needs to be addressed. Now, moving on, I want to see the first case example, which is Nike. The Nike's CEO, who is John Donahoe, shared, in an article. First, he presented it to the board as to how they kind of overcame the problems that faced Nike in China. So this is China's case study, how they went through various phases. Of course, the first phase is the containment phase, when they completely closed down all the stores. So they said that the first focus was on people safety and customer safety. So they closed down and started sensitizing employees that they have to be staying at home and they shouldn't come out. Similar things they sent across to customers also. So they started sensitizing people. At the same time, they shifted their focus to online sales. They said that as much as possible they could gear up their online infrastructure so business can be done in the later part of the first phase through online. And they also started promoting their training app, which is the Nike training club app, which they say the app grew 80% versus the previous quarter. Obviously, the focus was on training fitness. People were inside stores, so they wanted to give that fitness sensitivity to customers. So they offered the training app free for about 90 days. I think still it's offered at a subsidized price. So they did quite a lot of these things during the containment time. So they kept in touch with the customers. The focus was on people, their safety, and they started looking at the infrastructure as far as their online sales is concerned. And eventually their online sales grew. The second phase is their recovery phase, when they opened their stores and they started sensitizing customers. Even today, I got a video from the GRT, one of the directors, Mr. Radhakrishnan, sent me a video as to how they are handling this. Like that, these people also handled during the reopening time. The process explanations were given to both customers and to the employees, what to follow and how to be very safe when people come to the stores for shopping. So everybody had to wear masks, and everybody had to do the social distancing and so on and so forth. So from detail to detail, it was explained to both customers and their employees. So customer safety was the focus during this point in time. So there was a cautious transition that happened when they opened their stores. The third phase is normalization. I think in India, we are in the recovery stage when we are now opening stores. So normalization phase, the business conditions definitely improved during this normalization phase as compared to the other two phases. So they were consolidating their operations. They were reconnecting with the customers. Customers who have not been coming, they've just been sending messages and mails to customers to come. And with 80% of their stores being opened, they started communicating with customers and they started strengthening their online business as well. The fourth phase is, of course, their current phase, which is returning to growth. So this is the phase when they focused on their omni-channel seamless integration. They went directly to customers and how to connect with them online, how they can create those hubs, to connect both online and physical retail, which is actually the omni-channel experience they wanted to give the customers. So the fourth phase actually for them was the reconnect phase, when they had to connect with the customers and then bring them back to the normal buying standards. That's the focus. So in entire this particular journey of the four phases, their digital business has definitely grown. Their app downloads have grown. As far as the brand is concerned, they went full steam over propagating their brand and promoting the brand Nike. That was the focus area. My next example is Walmart. And of course, Walmart is pretty big in the sense they are the largest organization in the world, let alone being the largest retailer. And if you look at their strategy, they started acting very fast. They started acting very fast in the sense that they started putting together all the processes in place, in the sense that they wanted to focus on their online business. They shifted their focus quickly to deliver products online very fast. And as and when their stores were open, they started looking at implementing all the process, communicated safety to customers so that it would be worthwhile for customers to visit the stores. They'll be fearlessly, they can come and visit the stores. And that's the kind of confidence that the organization gave. So if you look at their stock prices outperformed even their previous time. So their stock performance have been continuously happening in a good way, which is a sign that their stock market is holding them and giving them the owners, the shareholders are reposing a lot of faith in them. That is what has happened. I mean, they waived off a lot of in-store rentals in the sense that they had their concessionaires who were paying rents to Walmart, and also they had a lot of space on hire, shelf on hire. All these things were were paid by FMCG organizations and other organizations. So these shelves on hire, space on hire were actually kind of waived off. And they also supported the government. And as there was no parking happening, they kind of gave their parking space to the government to use as testing centers. So the coordination was pretty much happening. And if you look at Walmart, it's very interesting. Even in India, they took over Flipkart. And you know that heavy investments went into Flipkart. And Flipkart has been doing pretty well as far as the online business is concerned in terms of their turnover. And Walmart invested in Flipkart with the view that they want to become pretty big in online business. They used to have a share of only 8% of their turnover online, and they now wanted to increase their online turnover. This has been seen by Walmart as a very big opportunity to increase their online business, even in the United States. And they expect their online business to grow by leaps and bounds. And I think they are having a target of almost about 30% of their turnover to come from their online business. If you look at Doug McMillan, who is the CEO, his statement, he says before this crisis, we were already seeing robust adoption of online pickup. And they also did a lot of curbside pickup. People can order, everything will be kept in the side, and as people just can come drive by and pick them up with just the curbside pickup. They increased that as well. So they embrace this pickup and delivery experience more. He says his feeling is that once this crisis is more under control, people will have seen the benefits of that service and they're likely to use it continuously. So it will become part of the new normal. He says that this omni-channel part of marketing, as far as Walmart is concerned, is going to stay, and they're going to become stronger both in offline and online business. That is Walmart's strategy. So the point is that Walmart acted pretty fast in the sense that they wanted to forge their relationship back with their suppliers as well. So they were communicating with their suppliers much. So Doug McMillan says that communication is something that they were focusing on very well, besides online, focusing on online sales and deliveries to customers. So that is what Walmart was doing. The third case example that I have is Tesco. And you all know Tesco. And you know what uh, Tesco did? Tesco, very interestingly, did a beautiful merchandising strategy. They started putting packs together. Tesco is very good in terms of their data analytics. They went back to their data analytics side and said that, you know, they would look at the data of customer offtake and see what's been bought pretty often. And they started making pre-packed, packs, pre-packed baskets, like how even in India, the government, when it distributed items to people, we had little rice, dal, everything together, and then oil, put everything together in a pack and then give customers. Exactly like that, they created customer baskets according to their purchase patterns and put those things in place for customers to just come and buy. That's the merchandising strategy they did, besides shifting focus quickly onto online deliveries as well. So they also increased their online delivery machinery. They looked closely at following up with their online sales and curbside pickups as well. And they said that their analytics showed that people were coming in and buying in large quantities rather than coming in number of times and buying less quantities. They were buying in large quantities. They came with a very planned, well-planned buying list. You remember those days when we used to go to the supermarkets and we used to go to the grocery stores to buy. We always used to have a list of things to buy. I mean, a planned list of things to buy and tick mark everything that we buy. Actually, that is what they were saying that happened as far as Tesco customers were concerned. They came with a very planned buying list of things. And one can understand during this COVID times, one can understand that, everything is done very carefully and the purchase has been done so very carefully. So they used to come once a week or twice a week and then load up stocks, and buy more quantities and then go back home. So they wouldn't come frequently, but they would come once or twice a week. So that is what their big data analytics helped them to do. So they also worked more closely with their suppliers, and they had a very good relationship with their suppliers, and their suppliers came forward to supply them. If you look at it, very interesting thing that, when we talk about suppliers, they help their suppliers as well. Tesco in this last paragraph, that Tesco guys have said that many of our suppliers would usually provide food to restaurants, cafes, and the food service industry. Due to the temporary closure of these industries, we have worked with our suppliers to take eggs, chicken, and potatoes that were originally destined for restaurant chains, including McDonald's, Nando's, fish and chips, etc. Their suppliers were supplying to them. These people said that whatever you're going to be supplying to them, we will pick them up and you will not be at a loss. So they picked all these stocks up for their own consumption since their stores are open. That is what Tesco did. So this automatically, the supplier relationship, got strength. And if you look at their farmers, they went straight to farmers, and whatever crops that were available with farmers, they went and did a backward integration completely, helped the farmers, and it was a win-win situation both for the farmers and also for Tesco. So that is what Tesco did as a very interesting thing. So he also says that the conversation with everybody kind of improved in a big way, and that is what they did. Okay, so that is as far as Tesco is concerned. Then we look at some Indian examples. I'm sure by now everybody knows about DMart. I mean, they've got almost around 250 stores, and DMart is, a very big Indian example of how performance, has been the watchword as far as that organization is concerned. And they're the best performing retailers in the stock market. And you all know that, DMart has got the largest market cap as far as retailing organizations are concerned in India. They even, yesterday they overtaken companies like, Maruti, HCL, Nestle. They become bigger than these companies as far as their market cap is concerned. Their prices the share prices have been soaring very high, in spite of the fact that they're less almost in sale by about 25% due to obvious reasons. But their market share price, their share prices have been going steadily high, and that's the best performing organization. And they did a fantastic strategy right from the beginning of having independent and freestanding stores. If you look at most of the supermarkets and hypermarkets, they're all in malls. I mean, they quickly went into malls because malls have ready footfalls. When malls have footfalls, what happens is, the job of doing the conversion from being a passerby to a buyer is pretty much easier, because customers would keep coming in, and it's very easy for them to walk into these stores and buy. So in order to get ready footfalls, everybody opened stores. So for many organizations, it's almost about 90% of their shops are in malls, and only 10% of their shops are in high streets, meaning that they're only 10% shops are there independent and freestanding stores. So the problem is during this COVID time, malls will take a longer time to open. We know that. And that's when these problems come. As far as DMart is concerned, almost 100% of their stores are all freestanding and independent stores. And most of them, more than 90% of them are built on their own. So the properties are owned by DMart. So DMart has got very clear, distinct strategies of store location and their property strategies. So that is what has kind of stood them in good stead, and their freestanding stores has kind of helped them. And they also quickly shifted their focus to their online sales. They strengthened their online sales, and they've got a concept called the dark store deliveries. They've got hubs. You know about the DMart delivery hubs. They've got all those small delivery shops they have in various locations. If you see Bombay, in Mumbai, they've got, in Ghatkopar, there is one, in Powai, there is one. There is a small store which is used only for delivery. So all the items ordered by customers, they choose their delivery points. And these items are brought to these dark stores, which are just about, there is only one or two people there, and they just deliver from there. The company brings those stocks which have been ordered customer-wise and put them in these places. And customers are told that their stocks have arrived in these hubs. And customers would come, stand in a socially distanced manner, and then they would go and receive these stocks. So that is what has been happening. And they also use their mobile, the residential associations, they use their mobile formats to go there. So they had fixed scheduled times to go to every society, park their vehicles there, and started selling from there. So on the one hand, they had their stores open. A lot of stores are 24/7. Then they delivered through their online sales. They did online dark store deliveries, which are like the curbside deliveries. And they did their mobile vehicles used to go and supply to the residents' welfare associations. They would just talk to them, go there, use their WhatsApp to talk to them and fix the time, and then go and deliver. They also, in the bargain, if you see, they scaled up their private labels. Quickly they worked together and brought their private labels up by quite a lot. And I could see that most of the items in a particular basket, they had their private labels very well done and put in the mix of merchandise, and that helped them quite a lot in terms of slow supplies from brands were there for almost about the first fortnight, and this helped them quite a lot, and they could kind of strengthen and leverage upon their private label stocks, and that is what kind of stood DMart in good stead during this time. Speed was the essence that a lot of times Neville Noronha, the CEO of the organization, has talked about, is the speed of response to customers. I mean, open all the channels, open everything, and try and get the local government support to open the stores even 24/7 to for customers to come and for them to go and reach out to customers. That was what was happening. So speed is the essence with which DMart actually worked. The other example, maybe this example is the less known retailer as far as the west and north geography is concerned in India. But Ramachandran retail is pretty famous as far as Kerala is concerned. I mean, the brothers Ramachandran and Jayachandran stores, and Jayachandran, they operate in the name of Jayachandran in Tamil Nadu, and they operate in the name of Ramachandran in Kerala. So this is Ramachandran retail, 4 supermarkets, large supermarkets in Kerala, and they started sprucing up their model in a big way when this COVID-19 hit them. They had a lot of people working in their store when the first week of closure, people moved out. People who were working there moved out. But the company decided, that they would reconnect with their vendors, and they would bring the stocks to sending their own vehicles, to many places. Like they had a lot of suppliers in and around Tamil Nadu. They had a lot of suppliers in, various places in a radius of almost about 300 to 400 kilometers. So they organized their own vehicles. Even in a lighter vein says that except only one Benz vehicle, every vehicle was kind of put to use either to bring products or to deliver stocks to customers. That's the speed with which they work. They strengthen their logistics model. They kind of went completely online and do curbside deliveries also, because they started. He says that even in the first week, his online sales went up by almost about 300%. He said so. He was the first one to actually look at channels, and because there was no people who were there, he had only 10% of his people. So they put all the people who were in back end to come and work, and including the CEO to manager to the merchandising manager to the vice president. Everybody started either delivering stocks or packing stocks for customers. They did that. So all of them, were kind of deployed to voluntarily to do the work. And some of the people who in the last minute stayed back, to work for the organization did quite a lot, and they were taken care of in an extra manner. So he also looked at alternate delivery channels. He said they went to Zomato, they went to Swiggy, they went to all these places. He says in a lighter vein, he says we went even to the local gymnasiums and salons which were closed. We engaged those people who didn't have any jobs. Those people were employed by this company to deliver. So they said that delivery we achieved because delivery went up more than about 350%. That was what was happening. He says he had to reorganize people into kind of new roles, and that is what kind of happened as far as Ramachandran is concerned. He said that the core focus was on protecting people, and he says 20% new customers they found. This is in this entire bargain, in this entire exercise of using the online platform. He says that there was an increase of 20% new customers who have come to the store, and they also very nicely look at sourcing local products during this time. You just go and summer products. If you look at the next slide, it's very interesting. This is called Nungu in South. They just have these summer items in the store in a big way. They just bring these items. So there are some items which are not available in the in the national brand supply chain. So they kind of do this, so local things, and they want to give that extra the unique selling proposition being the local things like this, mangoes being available there for customers to come and buy in a kind of a safe manner. That is what Ramachandran is all about. He said what all he did. I was just talking to him. He's one of my clients. I was just talking to him about how they did. He also mentioned that speed is the essence. And he said that people are the only thing that I was resorting to. He said that all the strategies, things like that, were there at the back of our mind. but the operational focus was so strong that, we did everything to make things happen during this time. Customer was our focus. He said we dug up all the customer lists. We called them. There were two-way communication with customers. We called them. There were outbound calls coming in, and there were a lot of inbound calls that were coming in. We had delays. He said that 2-3 days of delays we had. We had piled up orders, but we never said no to any customer. We just called them up and said that, ma'am, it will take maybe a couple of days, but we will definitely serve you. Do not worry, we'll serve you. And that's the commitment they gave to the customer. He said that that's the commitment we gave to the customer, and the customer remains with us. The other one is Big Basket. You know how Big Basket struggled in the beginning when COVID-19 hit. We all started looking at these online retailers for support, and Big Basket was pretty big. They didn't have slots for 2 days, 3 days. They didn't have slots, and you all would remember the CEO's letter letter that went public in Facebook, in WhatsApp, and in LinkedIn. Hari Menon's letter, a very commendable letter he wrote, apologizing to everybody that they couldn't honor their orders for about 2 days, 3 days. Slots were not available for customers. They said that the third day, fourth day only slots were available for customers, and they did everything. I mean, they were the ones who also looked at cab aggregators like Uber and Ola. They put them to use. Cars were used to deliver stocks to customers, and they saw that all households are supplied. And now I think the situation has become much better. Everybody doing online business, and there are places where they looked at employing local people from anywhere. Wherever people were coming, they just employed them for delivery, and that is what they did. And he proudly says that most of their staff, the managerial staff, nobody said no to work even during this time. So everybody kind of supported the organizations. He attributes a lot of credit to the people in the organization who reacted, who responded very well during this time to serve customers, organized people to deliver, and saw to it that orders were kind of fulfilled. Even though late, they were fulfilled. So their deliveries grew 300% despite slot delays. And they also reinforced all their hygiene practices. They said that all these things are very hygienically done, and they put their hygiene process in place and told customers that this is what we have done, so it's very safe to order through online. So one is the commitment part that we see from Hari Menon's response to everybody's response, showing that commitment to be responsive to customers. That is what we see. Maybe they were kind of trailing behind as far as speed is concerned. Because of the mammoth size of the orders that were coming in. They were coming in 3 lakhs, almost about 3 lakhs, 3.8 lakh orders every day in one particular location. It was a pretty difficult task for them to achieve. But then, the confidence that they gave the customers during that time that deliveries would be done was a big thing. Of course, the daily customers of Big Basket, they were also attended to without fail. I don't think any break that happened as far as their daily customers were concerned. Then we come to the local Kirana stores. I mean, we talked about all the organized retailers, organized markets. These are all fine. But what about the local retailers, the local Kirana guys? I know that there is the supply chain breakdown that happened. They were struggling quite a lot. I mean, because the farmers' produce were not available, prices of tomatoes and potatoes were going high, and these people couldn't lay their hands on, buying. I mean, you go to various markets, APMC market being closed for some time, and items coming from markets, they had to depend on wherever stocks were available. They did that. They could identify those places, go there, buy and come. They adopted a model of delivery to customers, which is the call, order, pickup. Most of them, made customers call. You call them and tell them that I want this stock. Even when they were not allowed to open their stores, people used to call them over phone, and they used to give them a list of products that they wanted. And the store would keep everything ready in a bag. And you can just go and pick up those products. They'll tell you, maybe you come tomorrow or day after, and then come and pick your order. And at the time when the products are there, the items are ready for delivery, they would either message or give them a call, and customers can go and pick up their products. So they adopted the call order pickup model. And very interesting, when they had their buying happening, almost about 20, 25 of these small retailers joined together, and they collaborated with each other in the sense that, they organized a common vehicle for transportation. And then they would go to the wholesale market, pick up things for all the 20 people. They would bring those products to their location, share the products, and would sell through their stores. That is what they were doing. Actually, they had a very nice alliance concept. They collaborated with each other. Otherwise, they would be going separately, individually, everybody. The cost would be very high if they go individually to the market currently. And it was not possible for them to go like that. So one person would go buy, take a list of products to be bought from the wholesale market, buy and come, and everything would be shared. And that is what they did. And it's a very interesting fish vendor, we could see in many places the fish vendors, what they did, they started sending pictures to customers with a price. Picture of list of, surmai so much, sardine so much, this prawn so much, and things like that. And it's available, you call them, and they would come and deliver at your building, and then you need to pay. That is what was happening. Even then, even these people, small vendors, started doing that. A lot of small vendors started putting up their shops and their carts, pretty much in many places. They started doing that after, maybe about 7 to 10 days of lockdown. They started doing that, and that's what happened. And they also kind of adopted the strategy of go to customer. I mean, they were ready to come and deliver, and otherwise they were not delivering. They were also coming and delivering. They were waiting for deliveries to happen. I mean, their sales went down. Their sales definitely went down by 25-30%, but their relationship with customer, that got reinforced quite a lot. I mean, the small retailers were very good in terms of, bringing their customers back to them, and, having a good relationship with these customers. There are 7 cases that I thought that I should, talk to you about. So how retailers have responded and how they are ready to respond. As far as, apparel retailers are concerned, that they will take a longer time, even though only the last few days online sales have opened up. There are many places, 70 to say 80% of our customers do not have access to online, ordering. So most of them, either they don't have their, they live in their, rural areas and urban, say semi-urban areas, and they do not know that small towns, they still do not, many of them do not order, and they're all, daily living. They're hand to mouth. Every day they have to earn their own earnings and then just go and buy. I mean, they do that. And currently, supply chain is something that's getting strengthened. I mean, the produce, the sources are all getting organized now. I think maybe it will take some more time to, for all these things to become normal. So what is this preparedness all about? I mean, what is the sentiment of customers? I mean, retailers understand customers, like how they are going to be. I mean, some of them are raring to buy. I mean, in cities, they want to just go and buy because things are not there. They want to buy. There are some customers, been so affected that they would rarely buy now. They'll say, okay, this is enough for me. I will not buy 3-4 vegetables, but I'll buy only 2 vegetables for the next 2 weeks, and I'll manage. And there are customers who are, consolidated, planned buyers. They consolidate their purchases and they plan their purchases, buy what they barely need, and they'll not buy anything more. They're conditioned buyers. I buy this and I repeatedly buy only this. That's the kind of, conditioned minds customers have come to. They're scared because they do not know what is going to happen, because entire retail business is dependent on customers. So this is the customer sentiment change the retailers have to kind of address. Current price increases have to be addressed, because the price that is kind of increased so much for a lot of items, because of the breakdown of logistics and because of the supply chain problems. When these things are addressed, I think prices will come back to normal. I think the governments are also, today's address of the Reserve Bank governor also assured that, the prices will come down and inflation will definitely be kept under control. And this is the first thing that they will address as far as the consumer products, and as far as these basic necessities are concerned, they'll address these. So the customer mindset is something that we have to be prepared to address as retailers. What are the implications for the companies? I mean, we talked about everybody going. If you look at the patterns and the taxonomical grouping of behavior that we have seen in these retailers, for those faculty who have been doing research, you all will know kind of what are the patterns emerging out of this. So if we look at that, we saw that supplier focus is something that every retailer has talked about. So that's the supplier focus they've talked about. So maybe there will be no room for middlemen. There will be a smaller room for middlemen, because they've started bypassing middlemen. Companies started focusing on their private labels. Companies started focusing, even small retailers started focusing on their own packed products, which are the private labels in the grocery area. So, and they started buying directly, from farmers and from customers. They're just going directly and buying. Maybe these alliances will happen, that companies will join together and go to farmers and farm communities they'll go to, and they'll ask for products to be supplied directly to hubs of 200, 300 retailers together would just go and buy. That is the strategy that's going to happen. Channel strategies are going to change because there is going to be a multi-channel strategy. I'm just talking about, and an omni-channel strategy, in the sense that the multi-channel strategy will be using many channels, and omni-channel strategy will be to, have an integrated approach of all the channels. This is what we've explained in the Retail Management Functional Principles and Practices book published by Pierce and authored by me. We've talked about all these things. We've talked about private label strategies, and we have seen retailers using all these strategies during these tough times. That is what has happened. And that's what will continue to happen. And companies will act with speed. That's another thing that we have seen, besides customer responsiveness. These are the three things that we have seen as being constantly emanating from every example. And then the government, help comes from the government now. So where does help come from? Help comes from both the local governments, the state government, and of course, thirdly, the central government as well. As help comes from these places, stores will open up, customer sensitivities will be addressed, and then competitive forces, as far as retailers are concerned, they're going to collaborate more. They're not going to be much of you kill me, I kill you attitudes, because they'll all have to survive together. Retailers Association of India has been addressing quite a lot of things with the government to help retailers open stores and open stores in a manner that everybody could be served well in a safe manner. That is what they're doing. So we can see a collaborated environment rather than a big competitive environment. So what are going to be the regrowth factors? I've seen that most of them have started reskilling their employees. We saw from the Nike example that during the time when this COVID came up, and during the time when they had lockdown, they started sensitizing their employees with reskilling. I mean, we've had so many, people doing their online courses with Retailvarsity.com as well. So people have to be reskilled. People have to be, this is the time when you can't afford your people to be sitting idle. And this is the time, this is an opportunity. I was speaking to this Ramachandran Retail CEO, Mr. Balachandran. He's just about a very young promoter. And he was telling me that during this time, you don't have only 2 eyes and 5 senses. You need to have a 3rd eye and the 6th sense to be very active in the marketplace, to look at things differently. That is what he said. Very interesting concept that he had followed. So those are the things that one needs to do as far as people are concerned. So look at new ways of developing their skills. Then product supply, and ensure consistency in supply of the right products and the right quality. Innovation is something that one has to look at. Speed to market, how to go to market in a fast manner. That is what one needs to look at. So speed, quality, price is something that one has to look at to see how effectively that customers are very price sensitive. Even in a COVID environment, they would just look at, what kind of prices are being charged, so they'll see that. They'll see how you are, and that is what something that retailers have to look at. And this is not the time for retailers to look at more margins, but retailers have to see that customers are served fast at less cost, and that is what would help organizations get new customers. And communication is the new mantra, as far as retailers are concerned. In most of the case examples that we saw, communication with suppliers, communication with customers, communication with employees, all this, the communication with all the stakeholders of the business, that is what is important to keep everything together to grow in the future. And value addition is the only way to grow. I mean, you look at adding value to your customers at every point in time. I mean, I have seen that, people don't even charge for packaging this time. Packaging costs, some people used to say, used to charge packaging costs. And now I have not seen anybody charging packaging costs, and everybody was focused with adding value to customers. And that's the major thing that every retailer was focusing on. So these are the things that, some of the things that we have lost are the people, the mindsets, that we need to bring their mindset change. So, I mean, we need to bring all these things back as far as, we are concerned as retailers. So in conclusion, what is the silver line in the cloud? I mean, we are in the in Q3, Q4 of the business soon. We are now in Q2, April, May, June. We are now in Q1, and usually Q1 and Q2 are the least selling seasons. Q1 and Q2, that is July, August, September. Till September, our sales is only 30% of the whole year's sale. The silver line in the cloud is that we have major sale. That is 70% of our sale is happening only starting October, November, December, January, February, March, when we have the Diwali, Christmas, New Year, and going up to end of February, Valentine's Day, and so on and so forth. So we've got these 2 quarters contributing to almost 70% of the business. We have not lost much. So only 30% of the business used to do in the first 2 quarters. So that is one hope that we've got, that everything then becomes normal. We'll be able to get this 70% in total. So whatever we have lost as business, retailers, never mind, we'll be able to, kind of do much more business. We focused on customers. We'll be able to do much more business as sentiments become more positive again. So that's the saving grace. And we are very resilient Indians. We just bounce back. Everything bounces back as far as we are concerned. We bounce back very fast. This is not the time for migrant workers to be sent back. I mean, this is the time when we should bring back customers. I mean, still people are moving out of Tirupur. They need to come back. People need to come back now. So this is not the time for migrant workers to go. This is the time for companies to take care of their employees and kind of bring them back. The government also should take steps to bring them back, so that earlier, employers can provide them with food, with business, and everything as it comes back to normal. So social distancing is okay, but don't distance yourself from the customer is something that we have learned from all these cases. We have learned that we have to be closer to customers in terms of communication, in terms of service deliveries, and in terms of relationship. We have to be closer to customers. And we know that malls, restaurants, movies, they would take a lot of time. It will take much more time, maybe about 3 months, 4 months, we do not know. They would take a longer time for customers to come. Malls are a big challenge because, customers will have problems even now. In a mall, one of my friends was telling me that if you have to count the number of times a customer has to be in a queue in a mall is almost 7 times. And starting from the time the car queues up to take a coupon, then to wait to park, and then go inside, and then if you have to enter, you got a security check queue, and then you've got to enter a store, you've got to put your belongings in a belongings counter. There you have a queue, and then inside the store you have a cash counter. There you have a queue, and then come back and stand in the queue again to get your belongings back. I mean, these are the things that we have. We have to make those processes very easy for customers with social distancing process. We need to and health check process and sanitization process. All these processes. With that, the speed of this process have to be done in a big way. I mean, you can't afford to. You have to apply the queuing theory and do queue busting and see that queues do not kind of pile up. And if queues start piling up, customers will never come to stores. And I've seen that customer footfall is the major thing that retail needs, and footfalls are there, and then retail is successful. Similarly, online visitors are there, retail becomes successful. That is how retail works. And restaurants, movies, etc. What's the need is the kind of a transmutation that's the need. That's the transmutation I'm talking about. A complete a change in the DNA of the business that we do. I mean, that's the change that we have to look at in everything, that we'll have to apply our minds and see how we can make a change towards making the business successful by serving the customers better and better with higher quality products at less prices. And we know that this too shall pass. And wish you all the best. And I'm ready to answer your questions. And Mr. Pradeep Bhattacharjee will come back and start giving your questions, and I'll answer them. And I know that this too shall pass, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful session from your side, and thanks for relating it with many real-time examples. So I hope everyone liked it. Now I would like to open the floor for questions, though we have a few other questions which have already lined up. So if you are ready, I can I ask those questions which is already in the box, sir?
Yep.
So the first question is, this is from the sports retailing segment, I guess. So the question says, company like Nike, how are they going to handle situations after lockdown, as majority of people in India have the habit of trying the products before they buy, like shoes, t-shirts, etc. So what is your take on that? I mean, how are they going to respond to such situations?
Yeah, the feel of products, the fit and things like that are definitely very important. But I think customers would definitely go and order online, because footwear is one of the categories that is actually ordered online frequently, because customers know their sizes, and they are very comfortable ordering online, unlike in some cases of garments. So they are very comfortable ordering footwear, and that I'm sure that will grow. Number two is in this third and fourth phase, as stores start opening, many of the Nike stores also would open. The high street ones would definitely open, and the multi-brand outlets, which are the independent stores, will also have Nikes where people will be able to go and buy. So they'll have to strengthen their MBO presence, and strengthen their operations in their MBOs, and also the company will focus on online. So for the customer, I think with the changed mindsets, they'll definitely do buy comfortably the issue. So Nike will definitely also be supporting these two things.
Thank you, sir. So moving to the next question. So this question, they want to know what would be the highlighting promotional strategies that retail segment can use during the time of COVID?
Come again? Can you please ask the question again?
Yeah, what would be the promotional strategies, the different promotional strategies that a retail segment can use during the time of COVID? Like the ones which are very attractive.
I mean, one of the things that they can use very widely is, of course, social media marketing and things like that. Okay, I mean, the digital and social media marketing is definitely one strategy that companies can use. Companies also, use quite a lot of bundled promotional strategies, in the sense that they bundle items and offer a bundled price. which will be 20% to 25% cheaper if they buy every item individually. That's one strategy that retailers would definitely adopt as a below the line strategy. Apart from that, if you are in a town, if you're in a small town, FM radios will definitely help augment your your online ordering. So there are people who are not used to online ordering, and they hear FM radios and local channels. So you promote there and you advertise there, and there is a lot of traction over there that we have seen. One of the examples that even Ramachandran Retail in Trivandrum did, initially when they were sprucing up their online business, they went on their local FM radio, and that is how it suddenly increased to almost about the third day it went up by about 300%. He says that's one of the proven strategies that he used. Apart from that, product strategies, pricing strategies would definitely help increase offtake as far as retail is concerned. So retailers can do that besides digital marketing strategies in a big way.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. So the question is like, what would be the preference of customers? Like after this lockdown situation, will they still be favoring the outlet kind of a thing, which is there where they can go and walk and buy things, or will they incline more towards online purchase? And if that is the case, like how companies like Audi have started online purchase, will that work now or not?
It'll work. I mean, a lot of them are resorting to online, a mix of online and offline. If you look at, what things have happened in the last 2.5 months, how they have panned out is we have depended more on technology. So definitely there is going to be a skew towards, a lean towards online buying. That's what's definitely going to happen currently. And besides that, I think when things go a little easy, I don't think people will not, shy away from visiting retail stores. I have seen that, many retail stores, when they are open, they're willing to follow the social distancing norms and they're willing to stand in queues. I've seen DMart queues, the queues are sometimes 1.5 kilometers. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It's 1.5 kilometers, but still customers waited and bought. That's the patience of customers. So even post-COVID, all essentials or non-essentials will definitely be bought online. Wherever online facilities are not there, deliveries are not there, companies are trying to deliver to even the remotest places, currently. When those delivery efficiencies are happening, online orders will be more. Online orders will definitely, be on the increase. So I think one side, the lean towards online will happen, and customers, even though they'll take a little more time to come back to the normal buying behavior, they will be resilient and they will come back.
Thank you, sir. And we'll just take last two questions. And the question is, apart from the FMCG section, so what is the impact that has actually created on automobiles and apparels kind of a division as well because of this COVID?
It's pretty appalling as far as these categories are concerned. It's almost nil sales now currently. I mean, you don't find any apparel store open anywhere, and you also find no offtake of cars happening. And these categories, like malls, are closed for the time being. And I'm sure people will be very cautious about even changing their cars and buying their cars, and very I've been reading articles and I've just been talking to friends also, and nobody is kind of ready to change their cars, even if they've used their cars for 7-8 years. They said that we will wait for some more time to kind of change the car. Maybe this year they'll not do, but next year they'll do. They may take a little more time than the other categories like the essentials and garments, but they'll take a little more time, and things will again be back to normal. I think we as Indians would definitely love to go back to our normal days. And when that happens, I think, those sales also would kind of come back to the normal track.
Thank you, sir. And the last question is, Should central government interfere in this matter and give any common guidelines for retail sector, especially for FMCG?
I think I have two opinions here. I think number one, why do we go into a kind of a Raj where everybody dictates you the norm? I mean, we as retailers should have our own norms to follow, and let the norms be there for every business. Every business, the common norms are definitely followed. As far as customers are concerned, there are very clear guidelines that customers should take care of. The Retailers should take care of the customers. There are guidelines that customers should follow certain social distancing norms and things like that. The only interference that has happened from the government as far as airline is concerned, they had a minimum airline price and a maximum they've done. I don't know whether it is inclusive of taxes or exclusive of taxes, but yesterday they said that a particular price is determined as minimum for kind of Delhi to Delhi Mumbai, and there is a maximum price that has been given. Um, so that is as far as an airline service is concerned. It's pretty dynamic in nature in terms of pricing. But in India, we follow an MRP system. There is an MRP in most of all the products. Of course, there is an MRP that we have. So as far as these guidelines are concerned, they're already there. Product guidelines are there. Your food safety, FSSA norms are there. All these norms are already there. So if we follow these norms, plus the health norms that have been specified by the government, I think those norms are sufficient. And retailers would follow all the norms. And RAI is given the standard norms for following, as far as as far as shops are concerned, what they should follow. They've given those standard norms as guideline also. So we need to just follow that, and that would do.
Thank you so much, sir, for clearing the doubts. And thanks to everyone who had joined the session, and thanks for being such a wonderful audience.